All right. All right, guys. Hey, this is Selwyn Robbins, your host for the Mandated Podcast Show. And I'm so glad that you're here once again to be able to listen into the conversations that we've been having. Before I get into anything, though, I always ask you the question, how are you doing? This is 2020, and we're just about done with it. Going into the holidays, this week being Christmas week, a lot of things have changed, a lot of perspectives, a lot of gifts that may not even be given because people are in a whole different mindset right now and just want 2020 to be over. So I always follow up with that and tell you how I'm doing. And I'm pretty much on that same line too. I want 2020 to be over.
Right.
But I'm not going to forget about 2020 because despite everything that's been happening, we are still blessed. For the most part, we are still healthy and here to be able to even speak and say that, you know what, we believe we're getting to 2020 and we got great things on the other side. So with that, I want to ask our guest today, that being Kevin and Charnelle Cooper from Charlie Ray's Coffee and Roasters. That's correct?
Charles Ray's.
Charles Ray.
Yeah,
Charles Ray, excuse me.
Yeah.
And I have it right here in front of me.
That's
Charles
okay.
Ray Coffee and Roasters, located here in the DFW Metroplex. More specifically, what city is it?
Sachse. It's
Sachse.
Sachse area.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. And just to let you know, I came across these guys before we get into the Q&A. I came across these guys from a couple that we're connected to, that being Derek and Lakeisha Culpepper. And Mr. Kevin was just telling me how they met, which was pretty cool. You want to tell them about that real quick, Kevin?
Yeah, I always tell that story, and I tell it, really to embarrass Keisha. But man, we had a buddy of mine. They were dating, and my buddy said, there's my girlfriend. Her name is Keisha. She's coming. She was coming from OSU. He said she's coming to East Central. Watch out, take care of her, make sure no one's trying to talk to her. And I said, yeah, no problem. I got your back. And my other buddy on the other end, I didn't know that he saw her. So we were at the club one night, and I was walking around, and there I see Derek looking at Keisha sitting down in a chair singing to her. And I said, it's over with. He got it.
I tell you, there's no other way to win a woman. If you got some vocals, man,
Yeah.
go ahead and let them flow. Let them flow. And I'll tell you, that is definitely one of the best relationships I've seen, not just for husband and wife, but for family as a whole, because they're so involved with their children. And as a father, as a husband, I love to see that. I really do.
Yeah.
So let's come on over to you. Coopers. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. I'm blessed, thankful for another year. It's been a stressful year, but with everything going on, but I've been blessed. I've been blessed to get through a year. So
yeah. God is good, man. I think throughout all of this 2020, whenever we were quarantined, sometimes God sets you down, and you see everything in a certain perspective. It's family, it's spending time with each other, it's hashing things out that you've been hiding because you wanted to be so busy, and so sometimes God is like, no, you're going to stay in this house, you're going to quarantine, and you're going to get to know each other again, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's big because my wife and I have talked about it, and not just us, I'm sure many people, but that specific thing there of we've had to come back to family because, at some point we may have been disjointed to whatever degree, because we're living our lives, going to work, going to school, running businesses such as you guys. But, even though this has been pretty much a tragic year in regards to the things that have been happening, not just COVID, but we've had, governmental issues, health issues outside of COVID and all that. But I want to say it brought us to a point of saying, okay, let's sit down and regroup.
Yeah.
And one thing my wife and I have said is, we, not just us, but everybody really needs to come out of this season with something.
Oh, yeah.
So, in that, let's explore that question real quick. As you and Ms. Charnelle have came together as family, what are some of the things y'all talked about in order to get you through the rest of this year?
It was definitely with prayer. We would do all type of stuff. And Charnelle, she was more into let's get more of the family involved in things. So we
Mm.
talked about family structures. We've had Bible studies. We've had family game nights. And what's really interesting is the amount of mentoring or counseling through marriages with other couples and so
Oh,
forth.
wow.
That was really strong. And we kind of put it out there within our homes, what we're doing. We would have intimate conversations while we're doing puzzles,
Yeah.
different things like that. We would have different type of skits that we would do, and so
Really?
it was one of those where our discussions were more how can we still be involved and enjoy each other and not just be quiet. So it
Mm.
wasn't a lot of being on our phones. It was more, okay, how can we still know each other in a sense?
Mm. That's really good, because my wife, it was one day she's working from home now, which, is a blessing for her because it's allowing her to be creative, everything that she's wanting to explore, but it's given us even more time in that when I'm off, I get to go in and sit with her when she has a break and we have those conversations, those very healthy conversations, good or bad, no argument, nothing like that. But
Right.
it's, baby, where are you today?
Yeah.
And, matter of fact, we had one of those conversations earlier today in
We
that,
did too.
man, it's, you need that because it revives you. I know for me, it's like, you know what, we really got to talk about some hardy things. If we weren't in this COVID season, she'd be at work and I'm in here, no conversation with anybody but me, myself, and I, which, you don't want all them things up in your head. And so with that, Ms. Cooper, what was one thing that you spoke to Kevin about and how you can build a better marriage? Not that it's bad, just increasing that communication, that love between you guys.
Well, like you said, communication, we definitely keep our communication open. And when things are, if we have a disagreement or we don't agree on something, we definitely, we always say we're not going to bed without without discussing it or having a conversation about it. And we're really, really good about that. So I think just keeping that communication open, we definitely, and we keep God first in everything we do. So we do a lot of prayer. We pray before we when we get up, and we pray before we go to bed. So definitely prayer and keeping God in our lives and in our relationship is how we keep our relationship and our marriage strong. So
Yeah.
And of course, with the Run DMC hat, I'm sure he's pretty cool. There you go.
Yeah. Then I keep looking at it and it's like, man, I don't know if the Run DMC hat is too small or my head is too big. Shoot. If this is being recorded, I'm still gonna rock it.
Go ahead. Well, that's cool. That's personality. And, you're expressing yourself. And that's the great thing about a solid marriage is that you can express yourself and not be ridiculed. And it allows you to be free. That's the same thing, my wife and I, do just as well. There are some days I'm just as silly as all get out. And she's looking at me at the side of my head, like, oh my God, I married this man. Then there's some days, she's just rocking where she is. And I'm like, oh yeah, all right, we gonna do this. But it is just so healthy, that when we both come together and we're having that silliness at the same time. We were just last night, I'll tell you, before we were going to bed or we were laying down, we were talking about, matter of fact, today, the 21st, they have the winter solstice that's going to be here, right? And there's some stuff on Facebook that we were just laughing about. And we had the strongest laugh last night about something just so silly.
Yeah.
But it goes a long way for you waking up the next morning and saying, you know what, that's my baby right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So continuing on with family, as I said, I wanted to talk about a certain picture that you guys have on your social media pages. And that is the one where you and Charnelle are sitting down facing each other at that table. But on the wall, there are nothing but pictures of legacy on there.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, we are very traditional, and I'm a very ancestral person, you know. And my grandfather, he's probably, you can probably see him right above my head with a tie on, you know.
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah, he was my best friend, you know. I
Oh.
love him to death, and that's the guy that we named our company after. You know, that's Charles Ray right there. And he always said, he told his siblings, which is my dad and the other 9 of them, he's always said, remember your last name whenever you go out somewhere.
Yeah.
Make sure you represent me and so forth. So, and that's where all the legacies really came from. So every one of them is attached to us somehow. It's great grandparents. It's the one right beside him that was the last slave, you know, the enslaved person in the Cooper family, you know. And we have some family members from St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, you know, and so forth. So it's that DNA in that African diaspora that's relevant, you know, on our walls. So it's one of those where we want to represent them. All of our coffees are going to be named after them as a legacy and as an attachment to tell the story and so forth. So,
oh wow, okay, you went all the way back to the diaspora. Okay, wow, that's deep out bad. Okay, so let's continue on with this picture real quick. So if you were standing, which I know you have before, just standing facing that wall, in regards to legacy, what really stands out about the history of your family that is compelling you to be who you are today?
That's a good question. For me, I don't know for Charnelle, but for me, it's just making sure that throughout their struggles and throughout their prayers, you know, I have cassette tape with Charles Ray. We call him Papa. I had a cassette tape of Papa praying, you know, and I have a T-shirt that pretty much says, "His prayers are me turning into flesh," you know, and so forth. Just looking at them, and my wife can, you know, tell you that I used to stand right in front of this wall and just stare, you know, and just remember the stories that they told me, and just the struggles that they had and the happy moments, and just making sure that I am doing them justice, that they are looking down from heaven, you know, and just they're proud of what we are doing and so forth.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Just making sure that I make my grandmother proud of everything that I do and everything that I have accomplished in life for her. So yeah, that's what I feel about it too.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Charnelle. And correct me if I'm wrong, but did I just see you graduated?
I did. I did.
What's that about?
I just got
Oh,
my bachelor's with psychology in psychology. It's been a long road. You know, I started and stopped, but I just never gave up, and I said I wanted to complete it. I'm continuing actually to get my master's in January. So
wow.
It's been a long road, but it's been good, and I'm really excited that I completed it. Yeah.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You had a big smile. I could only imagine. It was like, oh, Lord, thank you. Yes, it's over.
That's how I really feel.
So let's continue on with that. You said that you're going to begin your master's in January?
Yes, I want to continue my master's in business. I want to get my MBA and try to get into marketing. So yeah, that's my goal. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm really excited, nervous, but not to know what to expect, but I'm excited. So
yeah, man,
so go ahead. Go ahead.
I said, with all these degrees, it's gonna get hot in this house.
Uh-oh. So what are you looking, or how are you looking to apply that education that you're receiving and will culminate?
Well, definitely. And when I first got into my degree, I'm currently in education, and I was looking to go into school psychology. And then we
Mm,
started our business, and I wanted to learn more about how to market our business, just more about the business itself.
mhm,
And then that's when I decided, well, I talked to my husband, and I was like, well, I think I want to go into get my master's in business. And he's very supportive, and, thought that would be a good idea. But I'm really interested, since I've gotten into the coffee business, just wanting to learn more about the business world, and,
mhm.
the marketing, the finance part of it. So yeah, um, I'm excited, but nervous about the whole thing, but I'm really excited about it.
Well, we've always been told something. Our leadership tells us, do it in fear. If you're scared, still do it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you don't want. Matter of fact, we were just speaking about this, using fear or being scared as a catalyst
Mm,
to push you into those things that you're really wanting to do,
mhm.
rather than being catatonic and saying, you know what, I don't want to succeed because if I do, I don't know what's going to happen, etc. Push for it. And, we're all trying to succeed at something in life.
Right.
And I applaud you because
Okay,
going to
thank you.
school right after that, it's like, ooh, I don't know how y'all in education do it.
No.
Oh,
But it
yeah.
is all good. It is all good. So, with that, let's switch gears to our main topic, and that is about entrepreneurship, business, in that you guys are the owners of Charles Ray Coffee and Roasters. And as we had talked before we started the interview, it's very unique to me because I have not seen anyone that is of the Black or African American community actually owning a business of this nature. Why coffee?
Hmm.
I think for me it was Papa. He
Mhm.
always gave me coffee whenever I was a kid.
Oh, did he?
It was one of those, where he would sit and drink coffee. He would drink coffee all day long. He would work on the hay trucks, I was told, and he would drink coffee, and not really water and stuff like that. And
Uh-huh.
when I was a kid, he would give me coffee, but he would put a lot of milk and sugar in it. And I
Mm.
thought it was so good. And to this day, I drink coffee and I drink it black, just like he did. And I
Oh,
had a
wow.
yeah, I had a buddy of mine that I went to school with. His name was Derek Moore. He kind of has his coffee roastery business
Really?
in
Okay.
Texas. Yeah, I was buying coffee from him, and that's what kind of influenced me to start digging in and doing more research on it. And he helped me out a great deal, and that's really how it started. It was really just the love of coffee and just the
Mm.
things that I've learned and I want to teach others, just like he taught me.
Mm.
So it's one of those. That's how we actually started it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so once you guys have said coffee is the way we're going to go, it's a yes. What were your first steps in realizing your dream?
Real The first step for us was when the first person tasted it outside of us and said they liked it.
Mm.
That was one of the things where we thought we may be on to
We may
something,
be on
baby.
to
Yeah,
something.
we may be on to something. And we just started giving it to just family, and Keisha and Derek, they loved it, and so forth. So we really started pursuing it once people said this is some really good coffee, you
Oh,
know.
man.
That's when we took that leap of faith and said, you know what? I think we can make this into a business.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it was always in back of my mind, to have something that created a legacy through him,
Hmm.
at the same time. So it was kind of a God-given vision of let's make it into Charles Ray's Coffee and Roasters.
So you already had the history of it. You've had the taste of it from Papa, and the friend that was already in the business. So now you guys are on yes. You're saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this because, uh, anybody in a family business, the first things we do, we give it to the family, so that they can say, kind of do a sign off, say yay and nay, could do this or that. Um, how did you go about sourcing the coffee between Colombia and parts of Africa?
We use an importer, and the importers that we use are from the Washington area. Some of them are from the California area. So we always go to an importer and we look to see how legit they are, and if it's a fair trade type importer as well. And then those importers actually work with farmers across the world and so forth. We do utilize the middleman, if you will. And that's how we do our research. So the importer will tell us this is the coffee that is a certain grade. This is the coffee that will bring about this type of flavor in it and so forth. And we make the decision through prayers and just through the naming aspect, what coffees we would like to represent our ancestors.
Mm. So just on a business aspect, you had said something I don't know about, that being a free trade. Um,
Yeah, I'm sorry, fair trade.
Fair trade.
Yeah, fair trade.
What
Yeah.
is that exactly? Is
Yeah,
that
fair
dealing
trade.
with the free trade agreement or?
Well, no, fair trade is to see what type of farming environment is it? Do they treat their workers
Ah,
fairly?
ah,
Or is it exposes the workers and so forth? So you have farmers that kind of expose those that are on the farm working in brutal environments and things
mhm,
like that, and you have those that or treat the farmers decent and so
mhm.
forth. So look at stuff like that.
Wow. And I know that is a big deal with any type of business that has connections internationally, wherever you may be based, that um, wherever you're sourcing your goods, that certain needs are met there in order for you to continue on in business because you have a standard that you're setting. Um, and that's definitely where you need to be for sure. So with the fair trade, how,
I can give you an example also,
yeah,
man.
go ahead.
For instance, we have a coffee that's from Peru, and
Hmm.
it's a feminist type coffee. And the reason why they say it's a feminist type coffee is because a lot of the farmers in South America and in Africa, they are male dominant type farming industry. But the Peru, which is we use that coffee and we named it after my grandmother, Mama Jane. The Peru coffee is a woman specific coffee. So it's owned by women and the farmers are women and so forth. So it's one of those where we saw that and we did some research on that importer and we said we really want to support this movement as well.
Ms. Charnelle, I need you to answer on that. I need to get your feedback on that one right there. Come on. I mean, that to me, I'm like, wow, okay, but I want to hear from you.
I really don't have much to say. I mean, he brought it to me, and I thought it was really. And the funny thing is, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I do the back. I'm the background of it. I'll do everything else, and the research we do the research. He does most of the research, and he brought it to me, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And we agreed on it. We just agreed on it. I thought it was just an interesting thing to, with the about the women and all of that, and we just thought it was good to go. So yeah. But I'm just he does most of the research about the coffee and kind of, teaches me because I have a lot to learn about it as well. But he teaches me a lot.
She doesn't drink coffee, so I'm trying to come up with this hot chocolate, we're trying to get
Oh, uh-oh. Is
up in
that your
here.
cup of tea, Miss Charnelle?
I'll drink tea. I'll
So
drink tea.
what she'll do is I will make the coffee and we'll do this cupping and
Hmm.
so
Mm.
forth. And I'll say, baby, how does this smell? And if she says, oh God, it smells like coffee, then like, okay, now I know what I need to do, and so forth on the next roast and stuff and things like that. So yeah.
And I'll taste it.
Yeah, you
I
will
have
taste it.
tasted it, but
Yeah.
I mean, I, it just has a strong taste for me, and I just, but
That's all right. And that is all right. You said something in there I do want to explore. You talked about building. So the building blocks for your business, what what things did you need to get in place to say we can really take this a little bit higher or further than where we are right now, such as, um, you've already made your contacts, your resources for where you want to procure um, your coffee or whatnot, but what else did you need to put in place to get?
We had we had to make it legit, so we ended up getting an LLC.
LLC.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we had to make it legit. And once we got the LLC, that's when uh, we started purchasing more of the coffee to be able to get it out there and so forth. So once we got the LLC, we ended up getting our bigger coffee roaster.
Mm.
So the idea is to roast coffee. This is a cycle of it: purchase coffee, roast coffee, sell the coffee.
Mhm.
If you can get more in the cell, get a bigger coffee roaster, and then
Mm.
continue to do it and continue to do it. But that's the cycle: uh, uh, roast coffee, sell the
So
coffee, yeah, and then if you can get a bigger roaster, get a bigger roaster, and so forth. So once we got the LLC, uh, how we actually did it was we ended up giving it to family and friends. They
Mhm.
liked it. Okay, let's go ahead and make this legit and turn this into a business through prayer, saying, okay, let's go through legal Zoom
Mm.
and legal
Okay.
Zoom and created our LLC and said, okay, now since we have enough money, let's get a bigger roaster. And so that's where we are right now. So we have the bigger roaster. Now we're a legit company selling the coffee to family and really pretty much across the United States, pretty much selling the coffee, just looking to see when the next cycle of purchasing a bigger roaster and so forth comes into play.
So, Ms. Chanel, you're really excited about the marketing aspect. What did you start looking at, um, or how did you start looking at the business in a way of getting the word out through social media?
well, definitely we started through Facebook and then Instagram. We got it out there on Instagram and then just trying to get the name out there, trying to um, you know get our business out there and share it with other people and through those different social medias. And like I told him up to today, actually, I said just to get our name out there. We have neighbors. We don't
Mm.
just passing, giving them samples of free coffee, just
Mm.
getting our name out
Yeah.
there, marketing it. So that's where we're just trying to, you know, use it in all different aspects and how to get our name out there. We definitely want to go to different coffee shops and try to, see how we can
Yeah.
you know, actually give them samples and get our coffee into different coffee shops.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're
Okay.
we're trying to, you know, work it in all different aspects as much as we can.
Yeah, man, we're comfortable with the online purchasing, you know, the social media purchasing, but like you had mentioned earlier about that fear, you know, that fear is going to other coffee shops, you know, and so that's one of the things that we were talking about yesterday, I think yesterday morning, about that fear of going into the coffee shop and then being turned down or getting no's and all of that. We haven't had that many no's yet, you know, because everyone like, this is great, you know, and so forth. And some of it, I honestly believe that it's simply because it's not a lot of African American roasters, coffee roasteries, you know, so forth. So some of that could be the story behind purchasing, but we haven't had too many no's, and I just have that fear of having a no, you know. So we need to operate on that fear, like you said.
And I tell them all the time, you know, we're gonna have some no's before we get that yes, but you know, until we step out on faith, we won't know, you know. So.
And the thing is, you know, we need to have a no in our life, you know, when it comes to business, for sure. And that it lets us know there are going to be obstacles, more than one for sure, some larger than others. But it just says it's another opportunity to get closer to that yes. So by all means, you know, I would definitely encourage you to continue reaching out to those local coffee shops and see if you could get a sit down for 30 minutes and let them sample. And even if it's a no, what feedback are they going to give you so that you can eventually get that yes? Because I tell you now, just because of COVID, there wasn't, I don't know what the industry was in regards to plastic. Let's say what is it? The plastic that are now used for the dividers to keep the separation in between people. But now because something happened, that one business that couldn't get the sale, now their sales definitely have increased, you know, from that no to, hey, now we have a need for it. What can you do? So by all means, we got the flavor. Come on.
Right.
Let's go ahead and make that deal. So how do I want to go with this? Coffee is such a big commodity today. It's a comfort food per se. What do you see romantic about coffee?
I think for us, it's the gathering of people in the conversations. You know, coffee is always centered around conversations and so forth. If you want.
So sorry.
Yeah, my son is at the door, so gather around conversations, and sometimes those conversations can be the Saturday mornings. You know, and you're just with you and your loved one, you know, sitting out on a patio or sitting out on the deck, enjoying the coffee while you're talking about family or you're talking about the kids. And so the romantic aspect is just the conversations. That you can have.
You know, I want to go back to that picture or that whole wall that's behind you. When I first saw that picture, I just love nostalgic pictures, just because it's nostalgic. And I imagine that picture in black and white, that one day down the road, somebody's going to have that in black and white. And they're going to be able to remember, because of this legacy you're establishing now, they're going to remember that the Coopers sat at this table and they were brainstorming, they were loving each other over a cup of coffee, amongst their history, their heritage. And now somebody else can do that just as well. So I know you guys, or correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are home-based, correct? You know, logistically to keep costs down for sure. When it comes to the family, and we're still speaking logistically here, how are you enabling the family to move, not just in business, but in their personal lives for the things that they're wanting to do, and friends just as well?
clarify it a little more for me.
So, you know, right now you guys are, I don't want to say, you're at a place right now where you've brought all your resources together. You're building your business. You're building your marriage even better than what it is. And you have an opportunity to take those same aspects of building and moving and helping somebody else to do the same thing.
I think, you gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
I think some of it is just them seeing the legacy that we're starting to create. So especially our kids, you know, they're paying attention, and we're showing them what we're doing, and we're talking to them about the packaging of coffee, you know, the advertising of coffee and the roasting of coffee, and science behind it, you know, as well. And so allowing them to see that gives them this entrepreneurial spirit as well, and just saying, you know, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do, you know, and just whatever your passion is, whatever your desire is, you can move in that aspect, you know. And as far as that's the immediate family. As far as, you know, my uncles and their the outside of that type of family, it gives them a sense of a proud ownership. You know, this is what we are doing as a family as well, you know. But a lot of it is just really looking at continuously building that legacy for our kids and our grandkids and our grandkids' kids, you know.
Yeah. So I want to go back to this real quick. It's still a little bit on logistics, but the first time you guys made the connection to get the coffee and it arrived at your doorstep, what was the emotion behind that?
Very much excitement. It's when we first got the roaster, he would check every day. When is the roaster coming? When is the roaster coming? I mean, and when we finally got a message stating that it was coming that day, oh, he's calling me, he's texting me, super excited, so excited. And he's like, this is it. We're gonna actually start our business. And it was exciting. It really was exciting to when we actually got the roaster and it was in our home. That's when we knew this is for real. So yeah.
So on that same line, what about your first purchase from a customer?
It was one of those where I don't want to say addicting, but it was, this is it. You know, if it's this good to be true, let's go ahead and follow this. Let's go ahead and follow this map. Let's follow this road, and this is what we can do. And I remember, man, our first purchase, it was quite a lot. And remember, I told you that buy coffee, roast coffee, sell coffee, and if you have enough money and we have enough volume, purchase something more that can benefit that. Yeah. So we were going, remember, we had this little bitty grinder, and so we were up for 3 hours grinding, and it was like, we need 2 pounds of this, we need 4 pounds of this, and our grinder only could grind a half a pound.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We were up so late.
It was one of those, we looked at each other and I said, you know what God is telling us? We need a bigger grinder.
Uh-oh.
So we ended up getting a bigger grinder. But that first purchase, it was and I talked to a friend about it, and he said, well, isn't that what you asked for and God delivered? I said, yeah, right. That's true. That's true.
That is true. Well, you know, on that, you know, the Bible tells us not to despise the days of small beginnings. And it is so awesome to remember that one grinder, you may just keep that throughout everything and pass that on down. Say, this one that little grinder. Oh,
I was hoping that it wouldn't go out. I was nervous, and
we
it's
were
like
very nervous.
like espresso. They want an espresso. Oh.
Oh my God. So in that, when we're talking about the small beginnings, what is the large plateau that you guys are really trying to reach?
Well, we definitely want to eventually have a storefront. That's our long-term goal, that we want to be able to have our own coffee shop.
Hmm.
And hopefully we're praying we want to do it in a couple years. If everything goes the way it continues to grow, that's our long-term goal. So yeah.
And I think just being able to bless others at the same time, and using what we have to help others, through entrepreneurial spirits, bringing it out to the community, helping the community get involved in the community, and just being able to have that, on the entrepreneurial side, and not like a buddy of mine said, yeah, this is good, but it still requires you, so on the entrepreneurial side, it's one of those where we were talking about it this morning. It would be good to have, and then we can actually do something else. Take those proceeds, and which is not requiring us to be there, but taking something and going somewhere else and continue, being a blessing in some other aspect. So right now it's still requiring us.
And that is awesome. And I want to close out this way. Words of wisdom. Can each of you give me a word of wisdom? Kevin, if you could give me one focused on business, entrepreneurship. Miss Charnelle, if you could give us words of wisdom regarding pushing through on achieving that educational dream. Whoever wants to
I think, I think as far as the business aspect, make sure that you're not alone in it. And that's one thing that we're looking at, it's kind of like in education. You don't want to be the teacher that's just in the classroom feeling alone. You want to have a community of business partners is going to boost you a great deal. And just joining different things like the Black Chamber of Commerce of Dallas, Black Chamber of Commerce of Collin County, try to create a network of like-minded people that can help you, as well as you serving others at the same time. So try to build up a network that can help you.
Awesome.
As far as the educational, I'm always a big believer in never giving up. Don't ever give up on your dreams. And that's what I kind of try to instill in my kids, you're going to have some struggles. You're going to have some, just like I tell Kevin, we're going to have some no's, but don't ever let those no's stop you on your goals and your dreams. So never give up. And for me, I had some bumps in the road with school, but I just knew that I wanted to complete it, and I kept on going. And that's my biggest, thing. Don't ever give up on your dreams. Don't ever give up.
Awesome. Awesome. And you guys are still continuing to pursue your dream, of course, under Papa and his legacy, from the times, as you said, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, when he was baling hay, drinking his coffee, that's a long way back. That really is a long way back. And I'm just envisioning that particular time he had and passing that down to you. Now you guys both have the opportunity to explore that and expand that as much as possible. So I just want to tell you kudos to you guys, and continue.
I didn't know we were going to go that direction, because usually I cry when I talk about Papa, but I was good this time. He passed away in 1998, and he still has an effect on a lot of people. He touched a lot of people's lives, a strong preacher, and he has an incredible story. So this is usually when I talk about him, I have to pause and take a breath, because I'm about to lose it.
Right.
I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
All right. I believe he is proud of you guys as well, man. And that is awesome. Well, hey, guys, I thank y'all for listening in today. You've just heard Kevin and Charnelle Cooper of Charles Ray's Coffee and Roasters in Sachse, Texas. Did I say that right? Sachse?
You did. You
Yes,
did
it
a
is.
good job.
Awesome. And they have they have blessed us with wisdom today, both from the entrepreneurial side and education side. Ms. Charnelle, once again, congratulations on receiving your degree, and Godspeed with you beginning next month, just a few more weeks from now, starting on that master track. That's going to be awesome.
I
And
appreciate
guys, if you would, please tell our listeners where they can find you guys.
At www.charlesrayscoffee.com. And we're also on Facebook. Our Facebook is Charles Ray's Roasters. Charles Ray's and Coffee and Roasters, I'm sorry. And it's the same actually for our Instagram. So we're on Instagram and Facebook. So it's Charles Ray's Coffee and Roasters. So.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate y'all.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
I
Have a
appreciate
blessed day.
All right,
you
you
do
too.
the
Thank
same.
you.